Welcome, everyone, to Every Woman Empowered's Chit Chat. And I am your host, Shauna J. Cerniak, the founder of Every Woman Empowered. And today's co-hosts are
Janny Galarno, international artist and resident artist of Every Woman Empowered.
Mila Janu, certified laughter yoga instructor, founder of Let's Laugh Yake, and happiness ambassador for Every Woman Empowered.
And our special guest today is Lilly Wang, consultant and business coach. Welcome, Lilly.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on board. And Lilly, if I'm correct, your business is based here in Edmonton.
That's right.
Excellent. So we're going to get started with some questions. For those who are in Edmonton, they can contact you here in Edmonton, but as well, you're also available online. Is that correct?
Absolutely. In fact, I started my career outside of Edmonton. So a lot of my clients have always been outside of Edmonton. Yeah, exactly. So my business being based in Edmonton is a new thing.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. So why don't we get started with some questions?
Sounds good.
Okay. Oh, well, I'm going to start us right off. What was the catalyst that changed your direction to coaching?
Oh, well, that's a great question, Jenny. Honestly, I started coaching, consulting, business coaching many, many years ago. I actually started it back when I was at the University of Toronto. So back when I was still in school, and I started my work with a startup foundation. From there, I coached businesses doing, how do I say it? Anyway, it spanned sub-Saharan Africa. We had clients in the States. From there, I pivoted to work with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So it wasn't so much so that I had a 10 or 15-year career in something totally different and then something sparked a change, but rather it was throughout my academics, my consulting work, the coaching just kept, I see your flowers, right? They kept blossoming, they kept growing, and I nurtured it because I loved it. And that's how it really began well over 10 years ago.
So when you started this journey for yourself, what kind of personal work did you have to do for your own self to make you effective for your clients?
So much personal work.
Yes.
So much. You have no idea. I mean, I was really lucky in that I started personal work, spiritual work, grounding in my preteens, and that's thanks to the work of my father, right? I grew up with a very hippie dad, and I got my chakras read. I got my auras read. We went on, he pulled me out of school to go to spiritual retreats. You have no idea. This was back before it was cool. Like, this was when I'd go to the spiritual retreat, come back to school and be like, sorry guys, I was sick for a week. This was back when Paris Hilton was still seen as a role model, okay, ages ago.
Yes.
Remember those days, right?
Yes.
So I was lucky in that I got a head start. But, from there, I realized that I had a lot of ambitions, I had a lot of responsibilities on the work front. Like I said, I went to the U of T. That doesn't mean that I started as a consultant just like that, but I chose to do that work. I chose to teach seminars on health, on mindset. I chose to partner with the University Health Services. I chose to work for nonprofits and so on, and startups. And I realized that, hey, if I want all of these things, A, B, C, D, E, and a social life, and a relationship, and all those fun things, I had to get better.
Wow.
And yeah, so it was truly a work in progress the whole time. And, we always meet really successful people, but the ones who just want the career or work have it easy. And they've not been pushed or forced to do a lot of self-work, because why would you just work, come home and sleep?
Right.
But for all of you, I know you three women are so fantastic for this reason. You're so well-rounded, and I'm pretty sure all the listeners are as well. You want more, you want to do more, be more, have more. I realized 10, 15 years ago, hey, if I want all these things, I gotta be better. I gotta learn to not get stressed. I gotta learn to, now, not dissing anxiety, but I gotta learn to manage feelings of anxiety, feelings of not enoughness. How many of us in our teenage years, 20s and our 30s and counting, have felt not enough. Oh, I cannot do anything if I feel not enough. I have to manage those feelings, manage my stress, be grounded. So for that reason, Shauna, I really took upon this journey on my own 10, 15 years ago, really seriously. And if it meant I do this work for 2 hours every morning before I start my work, before I start seeing other people, that's what I did.
You know, and it's amazing when, like, to be able to have had that at a very young age. You know, my journey probably for myself, I would say, didn't really start until my 30s and going into my 40s. That's when I really started to focus on who Shauna was and where I wanted to go. But you started at such a young age and you had that opportunity. And I think that's amazing because it's telling our youth that you don't have to wait till you're older. You can start that journey now and start that growth process now. And I think that is
Yes.
so important. So when you were going through all your studies and your learning and your developing, what was kind of like your light bulb moment where you kind of went, oh, and it was a breakthrough for you that you could bring forward to your clients?
If I understand your question correctly, what was a light bulb moment that I realized I could serve my clients?
Yes,
Or
correct.
yeah, okay. Oh, that's a great question. I feel like I've had two big light bulb moments, I would say. The first was when I was first started doing consulting. I was consulting for the Ministry of Health, primarily in Cambodia. So that was the government in Cambodia. From there, I did more work with the education system in Nepal. I realized that, I took all this upon myself, right? There was no boss per se. I had to manage stakeholders. I had to be the force getting everyone on board. And it was so hard. You have no idea, right? Their cultural differences were really vast. I had to manage all this funding money. And with all that money, I had to get results. But my stakeholders, my partners were sometimes the locals. And there was a language barrier, cultural barrier. I'm like, guys, we need to get this going. But I couldn't push them because a lot of them were volunteering for me. Yeah. And the light bulb moment, I think, really came on for me when I realized, hey, in spite of all these unknowns, in spite of all these uncertainties, I'm still able to get these results. So that was a big one for me, that, hey, I can manage the energies, the personalities, the anxieties and fears of all these people and still somehow get the ball rolling. That was really big for me. That was a big one.
So you're kind of saying that even though there was all these different dynamics, different personalities, different type of people, you were still able to work with that and bring to the forefront a working model that was going to create the results that you needed.
Exactly, Shauna. You put it so well. That's right. And that's life, like right now when I'm coaching like amazing entrepreneurs, we're talking, for example, one woman has 5, 6 people under her. And by all counts, she looks great, so professional, so successful. But at the end of the day, when we do our work together, the work her and we talk about is, hey, you're only going to be as good of a leader, as good of a female entrepreneur, a mover and shaker, if you learn to work with the dynamics, all your moving parts of your 5, 6 team members. Right? Yes, exactly. It sounds so simple, but so often that's actually the bottleneck, is can we learn to put our ego aside and get things going with all these other people's personalities?
And that really truly shows strong leadership. And when you have that kind of leadership, it's amazing what you can do.
That's right. Yeah.
Lilly, I got a question for you. With all of the personal development that you've been doing, what are 3 resources you could share with us that are your just sort of favorite books or people, influencers you want to share?
Yes, sure. First of all, Meadow, what is happening on your head? You're just blooming. I love it. I've seen Neela so many times on Zoom, and this has got to be the most flowery I've ever seen you.
Yeah, Neela is blossoming.
I'm kidding. You're so cute. She is blossoming. I love it. But Neela, to answer your question, I have so many resources I turn to. I mean, let's do the math. If after 10, 15 years, some days it's 2 hours a day, that amasses in terms of the resources, eh? But very simply, I'd say a big influencer a big influence in my life has been Neil Donald Walsh. The reason is he combines a lot of spirituality with the laws of the universe, with quantum physics, and he's very practical. So for anyone who wants who wants a guy to tell you you're dumb, don't do it that way, he's a guy to go to. So that's Neil Donald Walsh. A second one that's made a huge influence on me, I used to listen to him over and over again. And Neela, this is why I do this. This is why I give free audios, like replays, to my clients and my students, because I remember there was a time when I used to listen to the same half an hour segment of Bob Proctor day in and day out for a year. And Bob Proctor is one of my coaches. He is influential because after 60 years in the industry, he's still standing strong. So you got to believe that he's up to something there, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many resources, but another one I would say is Marianne Williamson. She talks on how love is actually related to money. Love is related to income. And that was massively impactful on me and how I view my business. You know, some of you may know I don't really do sales, but I mean, this is going to sound braggy, but I feel like I've set certain goals in life, right? I wanted to work with the United Nations, so I did. I wanted to publish. For those of you in academia, that's a big deal, so I did. I hate research, but somehow I did it. You know, all these big and small goals in between, and I tend to reach them. And that's because I've always given genuine love and value into anything I do. When I heard Marianne Williamson talk about how love is related to success, how love is related to income, it just totally validated how I've been living and leading my life. And I feel like right now and anytime, you know, for all of you listening, if you're struggling and you're always thinking, oh, what can I do to get more? What can I do to get by? How can I play the game of life to do better? Oh, no. You got to expand your life. You got to expand your heart. Give more love to the things you can right now that will eventually correlate with a higher income, higher amounts of success, higher fan base. It is just law. And she really brings in that feminine energy to the same teachings. And for that reason, I really respect her voice as well.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yes.
I've noticed that there are many options of coaching right now these days. What separates you from all these options, and what do you offer that's completely different?
Great question. I think if you haven't been surprised by my hippiness just yet, that's a big separator. I would say that a lot of people have gotten into coaching recently because they realize that, oh, it's an opportunity, it's an option. Nothing wrong with that. We should seize the opportunities in life. But again, you know, going back to the very first question y'all asked me, which was Jani's question, when was that moment when I realized, hey, I should do this? For me, it's been a long time coming. For me, the coaching consulting work started 10, 15 years ago, way back in Toronto and Europe and Asia, all these places I used to work at. So I think a big separator for me, first and foremost, is it wasn't just like a little quick thing I saw on Facebook, I saw on Instagram, oh, let's make a quick buck. Not at all, right? My work and my desire to work in this area has been informed by over a decade of experience of helping people. So I think that's a big one. Nothing new with going with someone new, nothing wrong with going with something new at all. But again, going back to that concept of love and genuine value, right? A teacher who genuinely wants to bring value and gets paid mighty fine for it will always do much better for you, with you, than a teacher who popped on Instagram one day and wanted to make a quick income, right?
Right.
Another big separator for me, a distinguisher for me, I think, is again that spiritual practice. So I'm all about results. I mean, if you see the work I do, right? Like Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, like we worked on startups in Africa, in the States, in Canada. Obviously, the results are important. But a lot of people are like that too, but they're so type A that I think they cannot fully connect heart to heart with a client. And in my case, hell yeah, I'm going to get you results. If you're paying me $10,000 a year, let's get you those results. But always I talk about heart, integrity, value, becoming a better leader so you can attract better. And I think it's really that combination, that hard-nosed, frick, we're going to get you to grow. I'm going to get your company to grow because that's what you want. With how can I be a more heart-centered leader, kinder, more generous, of more integrity. And I think ultimately that's a path in life, right? We want the things we want, and we want to be a more loving, more capable person as well.
It's a great path.
Yes, but I have to say, Lily, I gotta quickly ask you, you look like you're about 19, 20 years old tops. How old are you? You told me
like
decades here, you said 15 years ago. I'm like, what, were you like 2, 3? Like,
I had an early start, guys, at the age of 2 and 3. Actually, it's so funny, Shauna, that you're bringing this up, because when Shauna was talking about how, she only started personal development in her 30s, I was like, you look like you started 2 years ago.
oh, you're too kind. Now I got to pay you money for that one.
Yeah. She didn't even pay me to say that. But all of you look really young and vibrant, of course. I'm in my 30s now. And I understand, like, I started this 10, 15 years ago. I started this when I started university. Take me seriously. I am not 2 years old.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jania, I'd cut you off there. I think you had a couple more questions.
Actually, no. Actually,
it's my question, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Lily, you're all about getting results for your clients. What do you find is the number one thing that holds people back from implementing these strategies you offer them, and how do you help them overcome that?
For sure. Number one thing that's holding them back is themselves.
Yeah.
People are two things. They're way too hard on themselves, and then at the wrong time, they're way too easy on themselves.
Half a dozen one, 6 to the other, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
My job is when you're too hard on yourself, like, listen, you've made so much headway in the last 2 months alone. My job when they're way too easy on themselves is, now I don't do this in free coaching. I cannot, because they're not ready yet. But for a real paying client, I say, well, what the hell happened? You want another month to pass you by? And really the biggest barrier, the biggest block on people getting the results, Neela, is themselves. And remember earlier when I was answering Shauna's question, there's so much talent in the world. There's so much success. But a lot of times it's how we work with our team, how we communicate with our team, how we not take things personally with our team, but truly one step beyond that is actually how we are as individual people. So it doesn't matter if I'm working with a solopreneur, someone just starting, or an artist, someone just starting, or who's seasoned but who just employs herself, or working with someone with 10, 15 people on their team. It's the exact same thing. The bottleneck to all the things we want is who?
Between our ears here.
Ourselves. Between our ears, our mindset, our mind, our thoughts about ourselves. We're way too hard on ourselves. We don't praise ourselves enough. But if we learn to do that, we get way more resilient. And then on the other hand, we were too easy on ourselves. If we set the goal of this, A, B, C, why aren't we doing it? Other people have, we can too,
I think we have time for a few fun questions.
Okay.
So, first off, congratulations! You just won a boat. What are you going to name your boat?
My boat?
Yeah.
Oh, dear God.
That's an interesting name.
Oh, dear God. Yeah.
Yes. Why am I here? Actually, let's do it. Oh, dear God.
I like that one. Okay, then. If you had to choose any animal as a pet, so any animal can be a giraffe, whatever it would be, what would it be, and why would you pick that animal?
Oh my God, such a cute question. So before one of you logged on, I was talking to Neela. I'm actually on the market for a puppy, for real.
Ooh.
I know. So my whole consciousness is like, I know, puppy, puppy, puppy. But this question is, I assume, asking for me to be a little bit more creative. So ever since I was little, I've really liked Siberian tigers.
Ooh. So you'd be like the
Yeah.
tiger queen.
Especially the little cubs. The cubs are so
Yes.
Tiger queen.
Yes. There you
So
go.
I'm so partial to the little cubs. They're so chubby and so
Yes.
cute.
You just
So
want to
in an I know, you just
Yeah,
want to
you want to kiss them.
exactly. So in an ideal world, they'd be so like cute, and I'd raise them, and everybody's healthy and alive.
Yes, love it.
Well, do we have enough time for one more question, Shauna?
Sure, why not?
Okay, I have a really, really important question. If
Uh-oh.
you were an ice cream, what flavor would you be and why?
I love maple
Oh.
because I feel like it's rich but manageable. You know what I mean?
Ah.
Yeah.
I feel that.
So in other words, she's telling us that she's
Okay.
rich and she's manageable. So
Yes, I'm rich and manageable.
that's awesome. Well, Lily,
There's the Freudian slip right there.
there you go, right? So Lily, if someone wanted to get a hold of you, wanted to maybe talk to you about getting some coaching done, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, normally they'd get to me from an introduction, so it'd be via email. They'd have my number. I feel it's weird to give out my number here.
Do you
So
have a website
if you
or you
want,
want
visit me on my
Instagram?
for sure. Yeah, website would be thelillywang.com. Lily is with 2 L's. So it's 5 letters, thelillywang.com. Instagram is at, the handle is thelillywang. Or if you want to just shoot me an email, I mean, why not, right? It's just, I'm just in between domains right now. So I'm just keeping it simple with just Gmail. So you can do lillywangcoaching@gmail.com. I'd love to hear
Perfect.
from you. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. I know that the girls had both had met with you previously to get some coaching done, and both of them had said wonderful things about you and what you're doing. And one of the things, of course, that's very important for us with Chit Chat is that we like to ensure that when we talk about someone or we want to refer someone, that we actually have personal experience in actually dealing with that person. So we just want to thank you for taking that time and dedicating it to us. And I look forward to seeing what other endeavors you have in the future. And thank you for being a part of our show today.
Thank you so much, Shauna. You're a wonderful host. Thank you, Jani and Neela. I've loved getting to know the two of you as well. And thanks for having me. I was supposed to do a TEDx this spring before COVID. So we'll see if COVID opens up a little bit. I might still do TEDx this year.
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
Well, keep us
I'll let
posted
you know.
for sure. We'll post it up on our social media.
Woohoo. Thanks so much. Thank you,
You take
everyone.
care. All the best and happy summer to you.
Happy
Thanks,
summer to all of
Lily.
you.
Bye.
Bye.